Which game is best, Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen? I've lost track of how many times I've been asked that exact question during my live streams. And my answer has always been the same, that it depends. If I feel like I want to go out and salvage a derelict ship or explore through the wreckage for a lost crew member or a valuable package, Star Citizen absolutely has the best gameplay there. On the other hand, if I want to go out and explore the depth of space and boldly go where no one has gone before, Elite is miles ahead of Star Citizen. Today, I'm doing something different. I'm gonna ask you guys which game you think is best. Now, the way I'm gonna ask you is actually to go and look up search volume history, and we're gonna use a site here called Google Trends. This is obviously a tool provided by Google, where you can go in and you can basically put in a search term, anything you want really. I just put in Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, the video games, as you can see, shows in Google here, or sorry, YouTube up here. It could be normal web searches, image searches, those kind of things, and you can also bike geography or time, and I've set it here to like 2013 up to and including 2018, because I wanted to go and take a look at the first beginning of the games, the two games, and see how they kind of stack up against each other. Now, as we can see here, Star Citizen in red kind of got a head start on Elite, which makes sense. So while the two games had a very similar birth, both being Kickstarters, successful Kickstarters, Star Citizen had its first playable version of the game where you could actually go in and install a client on your computer and play it. You could argue how much of a game it was back then, but that came out in August of 2013, so here, so that we can see this is of course where why Star Citizen got this early lead on Elite. But we go forward here to December 2014, we have the launch of Elite Dangerous, and we can see it spikes up, and very quickly after the launch, pretty much exactly after the launch, Elite and Star Citizen is kind of trading blows. Then one game gets an update, and then that one spikes, and then the other one gets an update, and we can see they're actually going hand in hand. You will often see them spike at the same time, so update comes out for one, a lot of new people are pulled in, they look for what alternatives are. They kind of share a similar fate at this point in time. There's a big dip here around August 17, not really sure what that caused. There is a note here from Google say that they changed the way they collected data, so I think that's what's causing it, that they changed something in the way they determine searches that caused this dip, but otherwise, I can't really figure out what exactly happened there. And now, in case you're wondering, No Man's Sky survival game, there we go. We can see there's the launch of of No Man's Sky. And if you know No Man's Sky, you will know that it had a very rough start. And this is very obvious, where you can see there is like a relatively decent amount of interest in it. We have this massive spike that just disappears right away, and after that it just falls down to the level of the two other games, despite the interest at launch being magnitudes larger. We can see the launch of Elite there compared to the No Man's Sky launch. The interest at launch was massive for No Man's Sky, but it very quickly completely dumped. Now, if we move forward in time from the beginning of 2019 up until the end of 2020. We can again see Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous kind of trading blows back and forth. Big update for Star Citizen here, and that generated a lot of interest in it. Then Elite comes out with an update, and things kind of go back and forth. One game comes with an update, it peaks. Then the other one comes with an update, that peaks. They're kind of trading blows at this point in time. Now, I want to move forward to 2021 because something interesting happens here. We can see that Elite Dangerous comes into 2021 very strong. With the anticipation of this new massive update, Odyssey, coming out this year, there is a large amount of interest in the game. We can see the spike happening here around the first playable alpha test of the Odyssey update, which again wasn't super well received, and it kind of dies out. People don't really pay much attention to the remainder of the alpha tests. There was the initial spike, but I think people basically just waiting at this point for the launch of this Odyssey update for Elite, which we get here in May, and we can see what happens after that. With this nice baseline sitting up here, after the launch of Odyssey, the interest rates in Elite just tanked. Like, it went down to way below the levels that we saw before Odyssey. And an interesting thing is, note here how you have a delayed peak on Star Citizen here, indicating what I think is happening here is Odyssey comes out, it's poorly received, people get super mad at Frontier and at Elite Dangerous, and then they begin to look in other directions. And that just takes, each dot here is a week, right? It just takes a week before people begin to migrate. And this is the initial, I think, migration we see away from Elite Dangerous over towards Star Citizen. And also noticed, while these two games have been very similarly closed, at this point, this is the turning point where Star Citizen really begins to pull away from Elite Dangerous in terms of pure search volume on YouTube. Remember, we're still just looking search volumes on YouTube, but the interest in Star Citizen begins to pull away from Elite Dangerous after this point in time. All while all this is happening, No Man's Sky is just doing what No Man's Sky does. You have your regular updates there, coming out at regular intervals. Now, I just extended the graph. Again, we still have 2021 here, and I extended it all the way out until today, where again we can see that alpha launch of Odyssey, we can see the full release of Odyssey, we can see that delayed peak on Star Citizen, and then, as I talked about, we have that split where the two games have really been following each other relatively closely, trading blows back and forth. The launch of Odyssey is the last time that we have seen a higher search volume for Elite Dangerous compared to Star Citizen. After that point, Star Citizen has slowly, very slowly, but slowly been increasing the interest, the search volume in the game, to the point where, and I know it's peaking right now because there's a big event going on over in Star Citizen as I'm recording this, big free fly event, everybody can go and play, there's a bunch of new ships and stuff coming out, so there's a little of a peak right now, but at the time of this recording, the search volume on YouTube is more than 6 times for Star Citizen compared to Elite Dangerous. Now we can dive more into the statistics here because it gets quite interesting. We can, for instance, see which countries in the world has the highest interest in Elite Dangerous, which is Russia at 58% compared to Star Citizen. So if we take all the search volumes, all the YouTube searches in Russia, that goes either towards Elite Dangerous or towards Star Citizen, 58% of them goes for Elite, and 42% of them goes for Star Citizen. But that is the only country in the world where the Elite Dangerous search volume is higher than that for Star Citizen. And if you want to see where the highest interest for Star Citizen is, it's places like Nigeria, South Korea, Switzerland, Thailand, Singapore. Bit of a weird list, not the way I would have expected, but okay. And we can actually do this by country as well. So if we just zoom in the US, we can see here by state. The state in the US with the highest interest in Elite Dangerous is Vermont, with 33%. So 1/3 compared to 1/3 the search volume, 2/3 the search volume going to Star Citizen, with pretty much all of them being in favor of Star Citizen. And if we go in the other direction, we have Mississippi, where nobody seems to play Elite Dangerous, but everybody really likes to play Star Citizen. Now, if we narrow in the search pattern a little bit, instead of looking at it worldwide, we're gonna look at you out there. You guys who watches my videos and hopefully enjoys them. Here I have the statistics for my, this was the info dump on the update 15, where we got some information from Frontier that was released before the update. I did a video on it. This type of, first off, the performance of these videos was good. You can see this shaded area here. That's kind of where you would expect videos to often end up in. And this one performed quite well. But you can also see it has this classical news type of performance curve, where it rises very rapidly in the beginning and then it kind of dies off and then nothing happens. This is a very typical news type video behavior, where it has a huge amount of interest in a very short period of time, but it often it grows very quickly in the beginning and then just dies out over time. Now here we have a Star Citizen video. The other one ended up like leveling out around 6,000, and we can see this one would probably have done the same. You get kind of the same initial peak. Again, in this video I'm talking about these new salvage missions that have been adding into the game, into Star Citizen. And we can see this initial peak, and then it very quickly flattens out. Here it kind of gets a small second wind. That's probably the introduction of the free fly event that's going on right now that I talked about. So people suddenly it gets a little extra boost there because there's an increased interest from new players who want to figure out how these new missions work. But overall, it ends up at around 6.5. Now here we have a second Elite Dangerous video, similar behavior here, where this is on farming materials from the new Darkoid Titans. I'm expecting this to get a second win when those materials actually have a use in game, but that obviously hasn't happened yet, so that's probably going to grow too. I also just wanted to show a video that has not performed very well. Here I have my review of the new Fury that's been added into Star Citizen, new little fighter thing we can fly around and shoot with. It's fun, it's fast, it has lots of guns and missiles, but people weren't that interested in it. I think there was just too many people posting videos at this point, so it had very mediocre performance. I'm kind of getting sidetracked here just because I find these things super interesting, but I just want to show you one last one. This this is my salvage guide. You can see a drastically different behavior here, where it starts out actually underperforming. You can see here how all the other ones will shoot up above this shaded area. This one actually underperforms. That means the existing viewers that were watching, or the existing subscribers to the channel, were not really that interested in it in the beginning. But then it began to grow. You can actually see how it accelerates here after a day after the release, which is common when the YouTube algorithm picks up the videos like, hey, we need to push this out. And that's what happens when then it gets a second acceleration after about a day, and then it accelerates up to in this case 12,500. Now while we are talking statistics, here's a piece of information for you. First of all, I can see here that 55% of you out there is not subscribed. Now that's a number I would very much like to change and make that a lot smaller. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, I would really like if you would consider doing so. And while you're down there, less than 10% of you have activated the bell notification for my channel. So if you haven't done that, consider doing that as well. So that sends us back to the original question posed at the beginning of this video. Which game is best? Well, obviously it's a very subjective question. And if we look at it on a global scale, it definitely seems there is a bias towards Star Citizen being a more popular game than Elite Dangerous. If we look at my audience specifically, it seems to be about 50-50, I would say. Which kind of makes sense that I have a bias leaning towards Elite Dangerous compared to a global audience, because I've been covering Elite Dangerous for much longer than I have with Star Citizen. Now I always encourage and I enjoy reading a good discussion in the comment section below, but I know this topic can be a bit controversial, so if you're here to hate and just be angry, then maybe go someplace else. But if you're actually here to have a constructive discussion, comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys in space.